chance and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, baby.
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it.
Live from West St. Paul Studios, it's time for MinneZona Sports Live with DJ Matty C and Paul the Shield Vold.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. We are back, yes. Post episode 200. We are officially now on episode 201. Welcome back, and as always, remember, I am your host, DJ Matty C, a.k.a. Matt Callahan, a.k.a. Callie, a.k.a. Matty C, etc., 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 and all the way in Granite City Studios in St. Cloud, Minnesota. Paul Vault, Shield, what is going on, Shield?
We have finally made it through the dead of the July sports schedule. The opening of football training camps has finally come, and the smell of professional football, real professional football, is back in the air once again. And I am more than excited about having that back in my life yet again, and oh so much closer towards the opening kickoff, and thus most likely a great Viking season laying ahead. So I'm excited. Of course, now into episode 201. We're back after episode 200, so that's also a good thing, too.
It's also a great thing, and we appreciate everyone who tuned in and enjoyed episode 200. If you haven't seen it yet, please go ahead and check it out. But do that after 201, because we got a lot to talk about tonight, and it involves the Minnesota Vikings, like you mentioned. And before I go any further, can we acknowledge the fact that you are wearing hashtag Keenum's Keepers? I love it.
Yes, sir.
Even with the patch, too. Let's go. I love the captain's patch on that, too. So
yeah, had to. The
Keenum's Keepers. Shout out to all the keepers and Case Keenum. So tonight, Minnesota Vikings open training camp. It is, like you said, Voldy, officially started up. They started their first practice today. Some updates to come out of that, especially the Jordan situation. Just saw an article come out as well, so we'll chat about that. Christiandarrisaw signs a 4-year extension as well, so we'll chat about that. And the Duke returns. Duke Shelley, hashtag Shelley Island, is back as a Viking. So that's what we got for Tater Tot Hot Take. And roycelewis on the mend. Possibly going to be with the Twins very, very soon. So make sure you check that out as well. We'll be talking about that for Hot Take. And tonight, Voldy, we reveal our list for the top 10 infamous list. Now, we have done Hall of Shames. We had the Hall of Shame with Clowntonio Brown. But now we are updating our list. We haven't updated our list since April. So, a lot's happened.
Has it been that long?
It has,
Jeez,
yeah.
Dude.
April,
it feels like we did it like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, April 3rd. April 3rd that we last did it. So, we have updated it. Clowntonio Brown is now in the Hall of Shame. And we will take and whoever wants to throw it out there and be like, hey, you guys forgot about this guy. You forgot about this person. Just let us know. We're happy to consider. So, and we encourage other lists as well. So we got that tonight. Make sure you check that out. And after that, we got ARAs. We got a plethora of really good ARAs this week. Voldy has cooked up for us. The wnbaallstars beat Team USA. We'll talk about that. Oh, and by the way, Team USA for the men's side survives against Germany. We got some thoughts on that. And the NFL, the 18-game schedule, it's coming, I think. Maybe. I think it's getting close. Big Ten title game to remain in Indianapolis. Talk about that. Oh, Voldy's already has some thoughts on that. Watch out. Lamar Jackson out after 1 hour at training camp. Oof. Lots to talk about there. And, of course, as always, Shield shoutouts. We got a nice surprise for you as well. So keep tuning in. So, Voldy, let's get it going with some Tater Tot Hot Take tonight because we got a lot of Vikings topics. We got a lot of Twins to talk about. So let's get it going with some Tater Tot Hot Take.
Fresh out of the oven, it's Tater Tot Hot Take.
And it is time for Tater Tot Hot Take. And, I know no one really cares as much, but I do have a new nice chair as well.
Yes, you do. Jealous.
It is very comfortable. I am enjoying it so much. And at some point, Voldy will probably have one. So we can have
Don't hold your
comfy
breath.
chair. Don't hold your breath.
Yeah.
But
It's going to be a while.
We'll see. We'll get to that point at some point. So, all right. Let's start off with our Minnesota Vikings. They start training camp. Voldy, I feel like there's so many headlines, so we're gonna go through each one here. And the big one that everyone's kind of talking about is, and we talked about this last week, is the Jordan-Addison ordeal that happened, the DUI and everything along those lines. So. Like we said, we were disappointed with Jordan-Addison, and I think he definitely got the message from the Vikings organization. I assume some of the fans, and as well as Justin Jefferson. I was literally I skimmed it. I didn't read all of it. Kevin Seifert had an article that came out about how he's feeling after that, and he goes, I was in a dark. He said he was in a dark place, and the main thing is we want him to be, mentally fine, mentally okay, and I think he understood, and he's taking this very seriously. So, he's got the love and support that he needs, and it depends on what happens. With the discipline from the NFL or the Vikings. I guess the legal process has to go on and whatnot. And, just kind of learning from this and moving past it. But, some of the comments that he made, Voldy, were pretty much like he was really sorry. But he didn't expect as much love from the Minnesota Vikings, and they said, "Listen, man, we care about you. We want you to do well in this organization and whatnot." So, what are your thoughts?
We are very quick to forgive past incidents that have taken place. I don't know if people still have quite forgiven Adrian Peterson for his past transgressions, if you will, that led to the team's separation from him and also the fan base. But I feel like now we can talk about it a little bit more and at least be a little bit more comfortable with, let's bring him back in,
So my question to you is this, Voldy, is pretty much, what are your thoughts on his comments, and do you think he's kind of learned his lesson and he's going to, take the discipline and go from there? What do you think?
I would certainly hope that he wouldn't fight it too much because, it certainly could have been a lot worse along the lines of what happened to, sadly, what happened to Kyrie Jackson. And, that was an extremely unfortunate situation that nobody should ever have to go through. And we certainly hope that it doesn't happen, let alone to a Vikings player, let alone to anybody at that measure, too. And you just hope that something like that and what has happened with Jordan-Addison can really, get him into a better place. And obviously reaching out for help is obviously that first step in recognizing that there is an issue and that you can learn from it too. So, I am all for the comments that have taken place, but, let's just hope that he follows through with what he says.
Right. And I agree with you too, is that he needs to, prove it and, show that he's, over that, going past that and whatnot. And again, it just kind of comes down to accountability and at the same time, if you're in that dark place, talk to somebody, you know?
Right.
I mean, it's that it's something to where you have the resources that you need, and you just gotta kind of, take it and just, go from there. So, they started camp today, obviously, so we'll kind of move past that. We've talked enough about the whole Jordan Addison thing. So, in lighter news, Voldy, the Minnesota Vikings reach an extension with Christian-Darrisaw. Yes.
Huge.
And
Huge.
let's not forget, he had one of the best quotes, I feel like, not too long ago.
Oh my God! Kirko, chill!
Yes, Kirko, chill. Christian-Darrisaw back. 4 years, $113 million extension.
Wow.
It is a big contract. But when you're one of the best, if not the best left tackles in the NFL, you're going to get that type of shmoney. So, Voldy, there's been some people that have kind of like, I don't know if I would have given that. He's had some injury issues, things like that, but he's been stellar these past couple seasons. He's had some nagging injuries, but it hasn't been to a point where he's missed the season or anything. This isn't David Bakhtiari. Sorry, Packer fans.
Yeah, whatever.
$77 million guaranteed. Forgot to add that. But what are your thoughts on the Vikings extending our guy Christian-Darrisaw? And do you think this deal was absolutely right on the money, or did we spend a little too much? What do you think?
No, I look at it a twofold situation. Obviously, you lock up a young left tackle that we do have with Darrisaw and help him be the future, of course, with bolstering this offensive line that does need as much consistency as it can from that standpoint. And it's also second thing with it, you really set the tone for the market as well before it gets all crazy going into next year, having him locked up at that price before it goes completely blown out of proportion with the market for left tackles as well. Because, with guys that are going to be coming up for extensions and new contracts after next season, you want him locked in at a fairly good price before things get all out of order, and the Vikings had to pay more than they were comfortable with in losing Darrisaw to somebody that was going to give him that big money as well. So I think it's a twofold situation. You got him at a good price, and you locked in, obviously, a cornerstone of the offensive line, too.
They definitely needed him, because here's a couple things, and this is probably the reason why that he's getting this type of contract. He posted offensive grades of 82 or better in each of the past 2 seasons, according to Pro Football Focus, allowing a total only 11 sacks combined between 2022 and 2023, with a blocking efficiency percentages of 97 or better. So,
pretty good.
I'm going to give that's pretty good, as Larry David would say. The thing with Darrisaw is that we got to give Spielman a little bit of credit here, because he drafted him, and people are like, oh, we got to get a quarterback during that draft, and they traded back, and people are all up in arms and whatnot. Oh, you go out and get a tackle. Oh, that's just stupid. He's the next Khalil. He has been lights out these past few seasons, and he's one of the best left tackles in the NFL right now. And you have to lock a guy like him up, and he wants to be here. He deserves that type of contract. We talked about this before the season. Jefferson, Darrisaw, and then there's still enough money left over for them in the offseason coming up. So this had to get done. We're glad it is done, and Christian-Darrisaw is going to be a Viking for a long time, and that's all that matters here. He's going to be protecting not only Sam Darnold, and jjmccarthy as well. And who knows? Hopefully, no injuries happen. We don't have to throw in Nick Mullins. No offense to Nick Mullins, he tries hard. Seymour says, "I'm just thankful." Hey, you know what? We are as well. And whoa, hey! Hey, the Caser has made a cameo. Yes.
Somebody having a meltdown and wanted to come say hi.
There's the Caser. Hey, buddy. Welcome to the show.
Just one real quick, Okay, and he wants to show everybody something.
And he wants to show everybody something. We'll take a quick
Yes.
break from our Vikings talk here, and let's see what Case has for us today.
This stuff always happens like 15 minutes before the show.
It does. This
Come on,
does. So
come on.
let's see what he's got here. Here, I'll put you on.
What do you got this week?
I'll put you on this. He's got a lightsaber. Watch out where you're putting or throwing that thing around there, sir. Look at that.
Who's on your lightsaber, buddy?
Darth Vader.
Darth Vader. Oh boy, that's
one
one of the best.
Darth Vader is a good guy, according to him.
According to
He's misunderstood. Yeah, he's
a
misunderstood.
little bit misunderstood. He just chose wrong. That's all I gotta say. Spoiler alert.
Okay. We'll save it for next week, okay? I promise. You can show him all the toys next week if you want.
All the toys, man.
Well, maybe not all the toys. We can show him a lot of toys. How about that?
No, not a lot of toys. Just a couple toys.
Yes, just a couple for next week, okay? Okay. I love you.
See you, buddy.
Right.
Case Fold, ladies and gentlemen. Watch out with that lightsaber. You don't want to get hit by that thing.
Kids, I tell you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you, Case, for showing that. And Seymour had to clarify. I'm just thankful the Vikings got their picks in on time.
You do it one time. 20 years ago. And you'll never get forgotten. I don't know. It was forever ago.
Close enough.
Either way.
Yeah. So we're happy with the Darrisaw thing. We love Christian Darrisaw here, and that's a really cool thing. So next thing, Voldy, just real quick, the Vikings finalized plans to honor Kyrie Jackson.
Yep.
That is so. The Vikings are so great at this that it's this tragic thing that happened. They're a lot of the funeral expense. They gave a $20,000 contribution for funeral expenses. They're going to be wearing 31 on their helmets. It's going to be all around in the locker room, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
Well, I even saw too that they're donating his signing bonus as part of his estate as well. That's awesome. So
the Vikings got that. The signing bonus of $827,000 to his estate. And the team also referred reporters to NFL Players Association, which it said it could provide further financial assistance to the family. So that is great as well. So, the Vikings do a great job and with that, and they've talked about it at length, and we just wanted to mention that, and obviously, with everybody involved and whatnot, and they're going to be playing for Kyrie here this season, which is great. So, just want to throw that in there. But let's move on to the other kind of big news yesterday. Voldy, our guy, #Shelly Island, baby, is back as a Minnesota Viking. Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. The only bright spot of that 2022 defense. I mean, let's be honest. They were bad that year. And bringing back Duke Shelley, hopefully, add some depth here and whatnot. So what are your thoughts on the Vikings signing Duke Shelley back, Voldy? What do you got?
I think obviously bringing back a veteran like Duke Shelley, because when he was in that defense, I mean, he was certainly a playmaker for them, and you need as much as you can get with this, defensive backfield that's kind of in a weird place right now. It's a mix of, obviously experience in youth, but the experience kind of took a bit of a step back last year after the year that they had in 2023, obviously, or I should say in 2022, with there being, being able to close out games late, being able to, obviously make a play when it was needed. But then last season, obviously, there was trouble in all sorts of places left and right. That was just finding a lot more consistency in that effort and bringing a guy back who has been a part of this team, been a part of the system with B-Flow, can certainly change a lot of, positions and obviously make guys step up even further. to have that competition. And I think bringing a guy like Duke Shelley, I mean, where he went, I think he was in Chicago last year or something. He certainly, with it being Chicago in the year that they had, certainly did have their moments, and his plays as well. Certainly really good to have him back in the fold again, too.
So Duke Shelley actually signed with the Raiders, and
Was it Raiders? He was in Chicago.
He was Chicago, yeah. So before the Vikings, he was in Chicago.
Okay, it was with Chicago. Yeah.
And then he signed with the Raiders, but he was released before the season, and then he actually signed with the Rams.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because I was like, I didn't see him when we were playing against the Raiders this past year. But he was with the Rams, played in 11 games, but he played fewer than 100 defensive snaps. And so, yeah, now he's back, and he's under the scheme that with Brian Flores now. He is only 5. I didn't realize this. He's only 5'8", but he plays like he's like 6 foot or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think this was needed. Add some depth. Byron Murphy, Shaq Griffin, Mekhi Blackman, who actually had an injury today. They're gonna take a look at his knee, see how things are going there. But
wonderful.
Yeah. Just going great so far. Caleb Evans still around. Andrew Booth Jr. I don't know if that'll be interesting. And
have we gotten an update on Lewis Cine? Is he going to be able to go this year?
Speaking of
as someone who likes playing pickleball, I'm no stranger to the aches that come along with a day on the court.
You know what? We're going to get rid of that. There we go. Apologies, zoners.
Pop-ups are great.
Yeah, pop-ups are great. But here, to answer your question, Voldy, basically, he is going to fight for a position on this team. He says he's going to fight like hell, basically, but I don't know. I don't think he makes the team. I'm being honest here. I think he's got a steep hill to climb, and he's really got to play well, even in the preseason games. But we'll see. We'll see with him.
We will see.
Let's wrap this up though. One last thing, and let's talk about the whole. The national media is blowing this up, as always. It's on the Twitter sphere. They're wondering if Sam Darnold's going to hold on to the job, or he's going to have the job week 1 and whatnot. And a lot of people are kind of assuming that there's a timeline that the Vikings have. They're going to be doing, X, Y, and Z, and if he's got it, they're going to put him in, or JJ.McCarthy in, and everything like that. But let's not stray away from the fact that the Vikings have repeatedly said that Sam Darnold is going to be the starter, for this foreseeable. He's taking reps with the ones. I don't know if McCarthy took reps with the ones today or not, but that remains to be seen. So, pardon my pun, by the way, since we just talked about scene. Jared says, "Do or die season for Scene for sure." I mean, and it could end quickly. Just saying. I mean. It'll be interesting.
It very well could.
Let me ask you this, Voldy. With all the buzz around, is J.J. McCarthy going to start? Is it? We all agree it's Sam Darnold's job right now. But
yes,
I'd be fine if McCarthy didn't play at all this season. I mean, I'd be fine with that. Or if they think that he's ready and Darnold doesn't do as well, then we'll see what he's got. But what are your thoughts on the whole Sam Darnold, J.J. McCarthy back and forth that people have been talking about? And I asked that to the zoners too.
No, I think you brought in Sam Darnold, obviously, to be a competitor for the starting job coming into this season. And you know that you were going to take a quarterback in the draft, and you hope that was going to be a guy that you wanted high enough. And that's what you wanted with J.J. McCarthy. And I would definitely feel very comfortable in the situation if J.J. McCarthy didn't play at all this season. Just soak it in, get it accustomed to the NFL play style, play calling, movement, all the things that we don't see on the field, off the field, in the the film rooms and everything, the quarterback room as well. Get accustomed to that. And if an opportunity should arise come a week, 16, week 17, and he gets the chance to start, I would be perfectly fine like that. And a lot of people have brought up the conversation and, without the full, analogy of like when Patrick Mahomes was a rookie, he started the last week of the season behind Alex Smith. That kind of, gained enough confidence for the team to let Alex Smith go and have Patrick Mahomes be the starting quarterback. And, well, Kansas City's never looked back. You hate to make that analogy because obviously that is a big pedestal to put J.J. McCarthy on. But with Sam Darnold, he is obviously a good enough bridge quarterback from where we were with Kirk Cousins to hopefully getting to the future with J.J. McCarthy. You have Sam Darnold. And again, another term that I don't like to use because it has its own connotation of being a game manager, of obviously get the ball in the right spot, don't turn it over, get it to your playmakers, and hopefully come out with at least 17 to 24 points a game at some point to at least give yourself enough of a chance to win a game, and hopefully the defense will follow suit. I mean, right now, as it currently stands, I'm fine with Sam Darnold being quarterback. You looked at his track record, obviously starting out in New York, going to Carolina, then San Francisco. There are numbers, but you look at the situations that he was under with those numbers, completely skewed and just kind of really ruined the reputation of what he was coming out of college and now at this point in his professional career.
I like the way you put that, and Jared, I think, makes a really good point here, J-Man. Horrible season for a rookie QB, pretty rough schedule for us. And he's right in that sense, too, because you start off at New York, and then after that, I believe it's San Fran at home, I think?
Correct, San Fran at home, yep.
They're going to want revenge for that loss last year, too. I mean, this is a rough...
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. I mean, you never know, especially with the Vikings. So, at first we look at that schedule, too, and obviously playing devil's advocate here, but a lot can change, too. Be like, it could go from the hardest schedule to the easiest schedule or the, middle of the road.
It all depends.
Whatever, it all depends. But... Sam Darnold, I think, has been given this opportunity to showcase what he can do within an offense that has a bunch of weapons. Now, let's factor in a couple things here. T.J. Hawkinson, probably not going to be ready week 1. Jordan probably going to be suspended. So, what do you do with those guys? Are the Vikings going to go out and get another wide receiver? They're going to go, Hunter Renfrow. They're going to go... somewhere else, make a trade, who knows? But there's Jefferson. You have Aaron Jones. You have Ty Chandler. You have Robert Tonyan, too. Don't forget about him. He's had a really good mini camps and things like that. So there's weapons on the squad. And I think he threw a 50-yard bomb to Justin Jefferson today. And again, they weren't in pads. I get it. No one's like, oh, it's just training camp and, this is their first and that's, I know that. But hey, if he's getting the ball to him and he's making the throws, hey, he can show what he's got. And he was highly regarded in the NFL draft when he was drafted. And the Jets, train wreck, right? Carolina, train wreck. Yep. Yeah. Then after that, he goes to the Niners and kind of, in the backup role and, go from there. So he's getting that exposure of being like, hey, let's see what you got with a good offense here. And he can showcase his skills. He could actually, show teams like going into the next, offseason, hey, I still got something here. I can be a backup or I could be a starter in the NFL. And, they would go from there. So there's a lot of avenues they could go towards. And don't worry. Like, if people are just like, oh, gosh, no, McCarthy's got to start. Just wait. It will happen at some point. I'm not saying this season, but at some point here, J.J. McCarthy will probably be under center. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll be talking about that in the coming weeks as well. So the Vikings start up training camp. We'll see how it goes. So All right, let's move on to our Minnesota Twins. So they just won today as well, beating the Phillies, or they won 2 out of 3 against the Phillies. So
Take that.
good job to those Twins. Real quick,
Could have been a sweep.
Could have been
a sweep.
Could have been.
They didn't choke it last night.
Yep. So now Roycelewis been dealing with an oblique, I believe, is what I got here. Yep, oblique injury. And he's going to be doing rehab assignment in AAA with the St. Paul Saints, and they desperately need him. And it's him. It's Correa with the plantar fasciitis, whatever they call it, but fasciitis, whatever. And Jose Miranda, your guy, he's dealing with back issues and whatnot. So, hey, the Twins take 2 out of 3 against Philly. They had some pretty good pitching. And they came back today. They were down 4-2, tied it up.
Yeah.
And, hey, Matt Wallner came through with a big home run. So there's some interesting things happening. Seymour says Twins offense has been on another level since Brooks Lee was brought up. And that's the truth. And guys are stepping up with these stars out right now. And Buxton got hurt today. Take a sip, drink.
Yeah.
But he is, it's only a contusion, so it sounds like it's going to be okay with him. Maybe be out a day or 2 or something like that. So we'll see how that progresses. But the Twins are starting to kind of pull it together here a little bit. So do you agree with Seymour, Voldy, that ever since Brooks Lee's been brought up and these guys being hurt, injured, do you think that the Twins are ready to make a run here in the second half? What do you think?
I think bringing him up at the right time when they did has been a lot more help than they thought for the Twins for sure. I mean, he certainly injects a lot of youth into the lineup, a lot more excitement. And this is a foreseeable thing that we could see going into next season and hopefully years to come with the configuration of, the infield and how it could be playing out with potential off-season acquisitions if things should go the way that they should for the Twins with Brooks Lee staying with the main ball club. That moves, you put him at third, maybe move Royce over to second base. You've got hopefully Miranda over at first base if he clears out. Do you keep Carlos Santana for another season? Do you let him walk yet again? There's a lot of question marks there. I think it certainly does help, obviously, in getting that. We know that his defense is there, but getting that bat in the lineup has been big help just because of the fact the Twins have been hurt so much and trying to find a lot more pieces in there. But even as we go now at this point towards the trade deadline 1 week from today, what does that mean for the Twins? Are they gonna have to go out and get a bat for this lineup, right-handed bat preferably, because they've got so many lefties on the team to begin with? What does that mean, and does that help force the hand of the front office to say, hey, if we're going to make a serious run at this, we may need to go and we need to get somebody? What does that all mean, and what does that entail? Do you give up some pitching, some prospects for a guy that you're going to rent for the last 6 weeks of the season, if that as well? But I think having Lee back in the having him with the ball club and on the team for sure has been a big time help for sure.
So he Seymour is awesome with the one-liners here. He goes, Byron Buxton is hurt is like the free spot on a bingo sheet. Oh, it's so true.
It's like take
true.
a shot for every time Byron Buxton's in the lineup and everybody's completely sober.
There you go. There you go. Then he says, do the Twins need to trade for a number 3 starter, or do you feel their starting rotation is good for the playoffs? Well, here's my answer, and we all know how I feel about the poll ads and how the money situation, and there is somewhat of an update pertaining to Bally Sports and Comcast Xfinity. They're trying to work out a deal here soon. So this might be happening.
Yeah, because Bally's bankrupt.
Yeah, that's true.
They need a bailout.
That is true, too. Don't tell Zappa. But
He'll be fine.
yeah, I think. Yeah, no, I know. I think so too. I agree. I think they need to go out and get a number 3 starter. And again, when you cut payroll, you let Sonny Gray go. You kind of just be like, oh, whatever. We made a playoff run. I mean, what's to stop you? You guys are trying. Right. You're in a pennant race right now. You're trying to lock up a wild card and/or win the division here. Go out and get somebody. Somebody. But I throw that to you, Voldy. What do you think?
I think with the rotation they've got over Ryan, who is that 3 guy?
Lopez.
Right?
All right. Oh, I just adding.
Yeah, Lopez too.
Paddock, is he hurt?
Paddock's up and down with injury a lot.
He's always.
I think with the 3-headed horse that we do have, obviously with Joe Ryan, Bailey Ober, and Lopez right now, I don't think we go and make. I think one thing that we're gonna need is gonna be that bat in the lineup for sure, especially right-handed too. I mean, we talked a couple weeks ago about a Christian Walker or even Pete Alonso. Those are on the far deep end. Even though Alonso doesn't want to be traded, doesn't want to leave, and things of that sort too. But if you can get a right-handed bat in that lineup consistently, I mean, that is going to be a huge help for the Twins because, pitching is going to take them as far as they can in the playoffs. And, timely hitting is also another thing with the playoffs too. I would stand pat, honestly. If anything, maybe get some extra help with the bullpen, even though it's been up and down the last week, I would say. But season overall, they've been fairly steady. They've had guys kind of come back and forth from the Saints and obviously with the big team too. And it's been, consistently all right, I would say, but maybe add an extra arm for that stretch run as we head towards these, next few weeks, heading towards a serious push to get past not even the second wild card spot, but hopefully even further than that.
Yeah, that's the hope. And the other thing that Seymour brings up too is that too bad the White Sox are in your division. Fetty would be a good get for them. So, but we all know how the Twins operate, so it wouldn't surprise me if they just do this instead.
Yep.
So,
wouldn't be surprised.
Bring Brent Rooker back home? Question mark.
Ooh.
That piqued your interest.
That did, and I still don't know why we gave him up to begin with. I would be all for bringing Brent Rooker back home for sure. Should have never left in the first place.
Well, Sonny Gray.
We'll give the A's Kirilloff. How about that? That's a fair trade.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So
Kirilloff
you'll
and
see
a box of donuts.
Yeah, that's true. So we'll see what happens here with the Twins and kind of just see when Royce gets back. We definitely need him. We need Correa. We need Miranda. And we got to keep the momentum going. So go Twins. The whole kit and caboodle. All that.
Yep.
All right. Shield, it is time of the return of our list of the top 10 infamous lists. So tonight we've made some changes. We've made some really good changes. We've made... we have Clowntonio Brown in the Hall of Shame, rightfully so. And for tonight, Zoners, let us know what you think of the list. If you have your own list, you want us to consider somebody as well, let us know. So let's head on back and let's do the top 10 infamous list.
Here's the list no one wants to be on. Infamous Top 10.
Well, since A-Rod will probably be owner of the Minnesota Timberwolves, maybe we should take him off there.
Yeah, maybe.
It is what it is. So our top 10 infamous list, we've got a plethora of changes. Voldy, I'll start off with mine, and then I will pass it over to you. There's a lot of changes here, and I need to explain a couple. I need to explain a couple. There are some that we've seen before. Don't need to explain, really, because you guys know the deal. So here it goes. Boom! There we got it. We'll give it a second here, too, so you guys can take a look at it. And we start off with number 10. Voldy, I really didn't want to do this. But Lukadoncic has forced me to.
Had to.
He, rightfully so, and I want to say this on this show, rightfully so, they beat us. They beat the Timberwolves. Fair and square. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Was Luka good? Absolutely. Fantastic. But what a crybaby. I mean, good Lord, this dude complains about every single call, and it didn't even stop when he got to the finals. He goes and he complains, and the Mavs were begging him to stop. This Brian Windhorst talked about it at length with this guy, and he just didn't get it. And that is the reason why one of the reasons why that the Boston Celtics won that series is because Luka couldn't stop complaining to the referees. And I put him at 10 because this kind of shows why we have this infamous list. Is if you're going to act like a jackass, you're going to be on this list. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And Luka, great player. I have no issues from that standpoint. He is really good. Is he going to win a championship? We'll see. And they have Klay Thompson now. They definitely have added some more star power, so they're going to be a team to be reckoned with. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But I have him on this list, and it's not because just the Timberwolves, but it is far more with him talking about how he complained to the refs and he's crying and complaining and everything like that. Just go out and play. Go out and play. Do what you need to do and whatnot. And there you go. That's why they lost, I think. Boston won the title because they were the Boston Celtics, and they are great. Yeah, they are. I mean, they are. I'm not discounting the fact that what they are. They were the best team in the NBA this year, right? They had the best record, and they shut them down. And if Luka wants to be great, Luka's got to stop complaining, and that goes for a lot of NBA players. Ask Devin Booker. I mean, that dude complains a lot too. So there is a big problem with NBA players and the referees and how they complain. Yeah, there's been some bad calls. Don't get me wrong, but every single call, Luka, and it's like, well, what does that make Cat? Cat wasn't exactly like what Luka was like in that series. Just saying. So he's on this list at 10. Don't worry, he is not up there with some of these other guys. Number 9, Jamorant. You know the deal. He's been quite quiet ever since the whole ordeal. Deshaun Watson, we still have him on this list. He really hasn't done anything since that whole thing, but he's still on the list. Number 7, Scam Duel. Been talking about how Scam Duel, a.k.a. FanDuel, has been putting out a lot of BS, like the Sam Darnold throwing an interception, week 1 or something like that, and trying to get people going. Just ridiculous. Number 6, Sean Payton, still a son of a bitch. Hate him. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And number 5, Aaron Rodgers has jumped up the list. Let me explain this. So, Aaron Rodgers has made a lot of headlines still. And the big ordeal with the unexcused absence with the Jets and everything like that, he was somewhere in, was it Egypt or something like that? Or just, I don't know. He was on this trip or something, and that whole ordeal is going on. He's saying stuff that he Seymour says you spelled the Chicago Bears daddy wrong for number 5. Ha! Well, I'll give him that. He has. I mean, he has owned the Bears for a while. And he definitely likes ripping the Bears, and it's that's fine. I don't really care for that. Mitch doesn't like it, but that's okay. But it's just pay attention. It's me. Pay attention to me. Talk about me. Everything like that. And then he's wearing this weird shirt, walking into Jets camp and everything like that. It's like, dude, just go out and freaking play. Jeez, all this, he's making headlines everywhere, and he wants people to talk about him, and that's why I'm just sick and tired of listening to his bullcrap. Number 4. I haven't had these guys on this list for a long time. And the damn poll ads, we are still dealing with the Bally Sports Comcast ordeal. They cut payroll this year after they went on a big run, and they don't have enough, and they're not giving out enough money for the Twins to go out and get a stud starting pitcher or another bat like you were talking about just in Tater Tot Hot Take. It's ridiculous. And it shows that they don't care about this team. And the fact that they won't shell out money to try and get a World Series championship back to Minnesota. And the deal with Bally Sports North, the whole people not being able to watch the games. Are you serious? If you were owners, you would be jumping at a moment's notice saying, no, we got to have the Twins on because people watch us still, in nursing homes and, if they're off work in bars, things like that. You have to have the Twins on. It is, and they haven't said boo about it. I can tell you that much. Nothing has come out from the poll ads in regards to that. And the fact that they sit back and they're just counting their money. They don't care what I say. They don't care about what the fans say or what anyone else says. All that matters is that they have the money, they have the control, and the fact that they don't do anything about it is absolutely asinine. And guess what? Why own the team? Why own the team if you're just going to hold on to your money and hoard it and, not try to help this team? We'll talk about that at a later time. But they're up on this list, especially with this Bally Sports thing. Urban Meyer, we talked about at length. Draymond Green, our 2023 Clown of the Year, self-explanatory. Mm-hmm. He's still saying that. He goes, I was just fine. Like, there was nothing wrong with me that he was saying about, And he's a clown. And it's that simple. And number 1, Glentaylor. Well, self-explanatory. The old man won't give it up. Even though A-Rod has been on this list before and whatnot, I'm pretty much siding with A-Rod. I can't believe I'm saying it, but I am kind of siding with A-Rod and Mark Lowry here. So we've talked about that at length. So that is my list. Voldy, your turn.
Obviously, there have been some major changes added to my list, but of course, rounding off in the number 10 spot, really basically all streaming platforms that don't carry regional sports coverage. I put YouTube TV because they were the first ones to kind of fall in line there. Then you've got the Hulu. Then you've got all the other platforms as well. The fact that I have to go to another streaming service, that being, of course, Bally Sports, and have them take my money to barely even be able to watch the Twins, the Timberwolves, the Wild, whoever, is literally a slap in the face for any possible chance. I'm not doing it. I gave up a long time ago. Unless they are the national game of the week, I will not be watching I will not be going on Bally Sports North of any kind. And the one time I did try to watch the Twins, of course, there was a presidential attempted assassination. And I was like, of course, the one time I want to watch the Twins. Somebody has to go out and do something completely stupid, but we are not a political show by any means whatsoever. In the number 9 spot, we have got, of course, Deshaun Watson. Nothing new to report there. The fact the guy got $230 million contract even after the incidents that did take place with his former employer in Houston and all the fun that, was supposedly had with him is just complete lunacy to the fact that he even still has a job, even though he may or may not be starting this season for the Cleveland Browns, even after all that money that they did give him in his new contract. At the number 8 spot that we do have in the NBA, really reaching out to the fact of combining, of course, the Jamorant situation. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Now we even throw in Draymondgreen, who is completely even throwing out felonious assault in many times out on the court, and the NBA just gives them slaps on the wrist in many different areas and say, go to anger therapy, go to anger management, take these classes, take a break, instead of putting the hammer down on these players that fall out of line, like Adam Silver, and not putting stricter, harsher punishments on these offenses, is a complete slap in the face to any sort of professionalism that belongs to the NBA. But hey, shout out to the Boston Celtics for defeating Kyrie and the squad, of course, in the NBA Finals. Up to the number 7 spot. So this is where it got really tricky for me, from 7 all the way up to 1, to how to get these all line in place. We start off with Tampa Bay Professional Sports. That does exclude, I should say, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm really focusing on the Lightning and the Rays. How is it the Rays can stink for 20 plus years and stockpile all these draft picks, maybe make a signing or two, and eventually make it to the World Series? Add on another 10 plus years of stinking it up, and then make it another World Series and almost win the damn thing. And it's just completely baffles me. I hate Tampa Bay, hate the Rays with every fiber in my being. Switch over the other side with the Tampa Bay Lightning. I hate their stinking guts. I hate that they beat up the Boston Bruins, and I hate the fact that they exist as a franchise. Besides the fact that they had a couple cool jerseys, that's the only thing positive I'm going to say about the Tampa Bay Lightning. So Tampa Bay Professional Sports, look, either move the Rays to Montreal or just stop existing in the first place. You've been talking about a new stadium ever since you came into Inception, and you're still talking about the possibility of getting a new stadium or revamping the dump that is Tropicana Field. Even if it is still Tropicana Field, I don't even know. The place is a dog pile to begin with. Up to the number 6 spot with my top 10 in famous list, we have the national sports media. This relating to the anti-Minnesota agenda that seems to be with Minnesota, with the national sports media, for not giving them any such credit and trying to stir the pot as much as they can when it comes to anything coming out of Minnesota when it comes to professional sports. We saw in the instance, of course, with the Western Conference Finals run for the Minnesota Timberwolves, of course, they did give their flowers to the Timberwolves, but you saw at points too where it's like, what's wrong with the teams that they're losing to? It's not that the Timberwolves won, it's that the other team lost in many instances with that. And of course, everybody was quite happy to see that Dallas was the team representing the Western Conference as opposed to the Minnesota Timberwolves in that area. And don't even get me started in talking about the Twins or the Wild or even the Minnesota Vikings. Nothing good will ever come out about these teams. And of course, because of the fact that the national media thinks that we are horrible and we're a poverty-stricken state that has nothing to offer when it comes to good things, when it comes to professional sports. Barring the miraculous happening, everybody will just continue to talk about how awful we are as a state when it comes to professional sports. Up to the number 5 spot, and this is where it gets even tighter to talk about. It's the damn Florida Panthers. Only good thing about the Florida Panthers is that Kyle Oposo out of Minnesota is a Stanley Cup champion. Matthew Tkachuk, I hate your stinking guts. Sam Bennett, you are a dirty, dirty rat. Paul Maurice, great coach. I'd love to have him as my coach. Sergei Bobrovsky, just retire already. You're going on 50 seasons as a goalie in the NHL. Knock it off. I absolutely hate the Florida Panthers, but good for Kyle Oposo to be a Stanley Cup champion, as he just had his day with the Cup most recently. Up to the number 4 spot, we have MLB Advanced Statistics. You can check out our YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and all forms of social media to get my full in-depth conversation and dismay when it comes to advanced statistics that are proposed by Major League Baseball, but we don't need to get into that even further. Number 3 spot, the failed professional football coach and, well, you want to say beloved college football coach Urban Meyer. We'll leave it at that. The number 2 spot, the quote-unquote Big Ten Conference, now up to 37 teams now at this point, spanning from coast to coast and across the globe. The Big Ten Conference, that's right, from sea to shining sea, all the way from Rutgers to what?
UCLA,
Washington,
USC.
UCLA, Washington, Oregon, Anchorage, Alaska, Nome, Alaska. We'll go down to Johannesburg, South Africa. Yeah. We're all over the place when it comes to the Big Ten. It's ridiculous. What happened to what the beauty that was the Big Ten? And I am still sickened by the fact that at some point we're going to see a Rutgers versus Washington, or we're going to see Indiana versus USC as Big Ten conference matchups. And who knows, the crazy world that we may see, we might see Penn State versus USC in the Big Ten championship game. No, this is not a bowl game. No, this isn't the Rose Bowl. This is for a chance to even go to the college football playoff, and these random teams that are now joining. I'm still trying to get over the fact that Nebraska is a Big Ten school, and they've been in it for damn near 10 years already. And it's completely crazy. I hate the fact that the Big Ten has become more wishy-washy, and it's all fun and games. The thing I always like to, and most recently when it comes to like the Big Ten and especially the football schedule, Northwestern is revamping their field. They're like they tore it all down. They're building back up. They're playing, I think it's either on their lacrosse field or their soccer field, which is literally right next to Lake Michigan. Can you imagine USC or UCLA coming for like a mid-November football contest against Northwestern and howling winds coming off the lake? And even quite possibly even getting snow at that point. I looked at Northwestern's schedule. They dodged a bullet this year, but it's going to be at least a season or two before Ryan Field is fully updated. So that'll be fun to see how these California and West Coast teams come to, basically Chicago adjacent and try to win a football game on the road. Number 1 spot, of course, glentaylor. Just when you thought he was going to finally sell the team, the Timberwolves decided to go and finally be good. So the rug is pulled out right from under everybody in that instance, and we thought we were finally rid of glentaylor, and it's not looking like that currently. Hopefully more negotiations and things adjust with that, hopefully going into this upcoming season, because I would certainly like to see glentaylor gone, Kevin Garnett brought back into the fold, his number retired, and obviously a lot more put into this franchise that made one heck of a run last year, and all the pieces put in, hopefully making that next step here in future seasons. So that's my top 10 there for you.
Here's the last look at our list. We got zoners chiming in at will here, Voldy. Jared says, she's been quiet lately, but I would have put Angel Reese or even the WNBA on my list.
That's a good one.
Okay, I don't want to get super controversial here, but I need to say something along the lines of how she's acted. She hates Caitlin Clark. Now she loves Caitlin Clark. Now she hates Caitlin.
Pick a side.
What are you doing? Like seriously. Like, I don't understand. Like, you're trying to get people going. You're not trying to get people going. You say, I've been sexualizing everything. It's because you're wearing 2-piece swimsuit coming into games. I mean, good Lord, woman. Like, there is a lot I have to say on that, but she is putting this on herself. She's a good player. Don't get me wrong. She's a very good player. It's time for her to kind of ease back a little bit. Look, you beat her in the national championship game. You have talked about this at length, Voldy. Let it go. Just play basketball. God, it's getting out of hand. It really is. I agree with Jared on that. Seymour says that's the Miami Marlins blueprint, Voldy, and I assume with the whole Florida thing, everything like that. Yep. There you go. There you go. Don't get Shield started on BAPIP WOBAXERA WRC
P.
plus and SIERRA, aka Sierra. So, yeah, that's the whole
WTF SMFD.
Yep.
That's all I got to say.
Do they move on the Big Ten championship from Indianapolis to Los Angeles? More on that.
More on that coming up.
So,
Boom.
that's coming up.
Segue.
Angel Reese is the female Draymond Green. I agree. I think that is spot on. That is very spot on.
I like that.
But look, you have that platform, and you're doing it to piss people off. Just stop. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. Play your game. You can talk, but the thing is, just don't make it controversial. You got a ring. Don't complain. So, anywho, that's going to do it for Top 10 and Famous List. You know the deal. The whole, if you guys want to make your own list, we definitely love to consider it. Or if you want to add some people on there as well, make sure you let us know. So, all right, Voldy, it's time to get to ARA. And like we were talking about, the WNBA All-Stars, down Team USA. Are we concerned? We'll talk about that. Team USA survives against Germany, and that they're going to be starting here soon. And the NFL 18-game schedule, it's near. It's I think it's going to happen. Big Ten title game to remain in Indy. Seymour wants to hear about that. I know that for sure. And our last one, LamarJackson. Is there time? Is it possible he could be out for a little bit? We'll talk about that. So, Voldy, I say we get it going with some observed or approved.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
All right, it is time for Absurd or Approved. So, Voldy, why don't you rattle them off for us, please?
Well, in a pre-tune-up to the teams heading overseas, Team USA women's basketball matched up with the Team WNBA in the All-Star game that took place over the weekend and did see Team WNBA down Team USA 117-109, led by some young players and those that got snubbed from Team USA, led by Enrique Ugumbawale, I should say. 34 points to set a All-Star game record. Of course, you did see rookie sensations that did include Caitlin Clark, 10 assists in the contest, and Angel Reese, 12 points, 10 rebounds for another double-double in her season as well. Most notably, the snubs from Team USA that did see a lot of inconsistencies in play from that, in a quite possible final tune-up for Team USA on the women's side before they head over to the Paris Olympics opening ceremony coming up here in less than 48 hours. Of course, we know the lineup that was included for Team USA. You saw Breanna Stewart struggle. You saw the likes of Sabrina Ionescu struggle, and many of the notable players on the team that struggled in many, many different ways. I mean, Diana Taurasi had, we saw her put up 14 points. I mean, Breanna Stewart did struggle. She put up 30 points, but still not a win to say the least. But even with the play that did take place with Team USA, are we concerned? Is it absurd or approved? Should we be concerned for Team USA as they head overseas for the Paris Olympics coming after losing to the WNBA?
Well, for one, they were not happy about losing to the All-Star team, and the rookies played really well. Even Angel Reese, for that matter, too. And obviously, Caitlin Clark. They didn't play very good defense. There weren't a lot of smiles on this after the post game as well, as I'm looking on here, too. And it's I think it's time for concern a little bit. But now that they had a disappointing, show out and, loss. I mean, losing like that to, a team that, there's all-stars on that team. Don't get me wrong. But they need to figure it out and figure it out quick. But let's not forget who is the coach of this team, and that is one Cheryl Reeve. So I am not overly concerned, but I'm a little concerned, and because I want them to win the gold. I mean, who wouldn't, But I just think that I think they wanted to prove something too. I mean, let's not discredit the fact that the All-Star team went and said, well, you're not going to put me on the Team USA. We'll show you. And they did. They showed out and they kicked their butt. Mm-hmm. So now Team USA is going to have to, come to the realization, like, we got to get our act together, and we have to, work as a team and start, playing better defense, because they didn't play a whole lot of great defense. I mean, some of these teams can exploit that too. I mean, there's no scrubs, in the Olympics. I mean, they train hard for this stuff, so they got to get ready. So there's a little bit of concern, I would say. I'm going to say a little bit of concern, but I have belief because Cheryl Reeve. That's all I got to say. So, Voldy, what do you think?
I mean, I'm not overly concerned of Team USA not performing well and bringing home gold in the Paris Olympics. I'm more concerned about how that dynamic for Team USA is going to look 2, 3, 4 years from now, obviously, with all the snubs that took place with this Olympic roster, of course, with the likes of Caitlin Clark being one of those. You see some of the younger players with wnbaallstar and Angel Reese, too. Now you're going to, because you look at the roster right now, there's going to be at least 4 or 5 players that won't be on the team next Olympics as well. Taurasi, I don't know how much longer Diana Taurasi can go, but if she can, I would, for all intents and purposes, I would say this is her last Olympics, just based off the longevity of her career. I mean, Sue Bird's already gone, so you would imagine that she wouldn't be too far down the line for her. So that's at least one spot. There's going to be a couple, you see the likes of Asia Wilson, Brianna Stewart, you have, Chelsea Gray, you have Ionescu as well. Those are going to be some of the mainstays there. Now it's just about filling it all in. I'm not concerned on the international side, because the international women's game, not as advanced, I would say, as at the same level, I would say,
right.
as the men's side, because we know the men's side, we'll talk about it here more in depth, is right up there with Team USA and everything, at least what we've seen more recently. I think Team USA, it's all about, for the women's side, just shaking off the cobwebs. I mean, these are a lot of their contemporaries. I mean, the Team WNBA is obviously the all-star team, and then you have trying to play at, a more finesse side, if you will, with the Olympic team, and playing to those international rules, as opposed to the WNBA style of play that they're more accustomed to, where obviously all the all-stars are out there just to get their own buckets. Maybe they'll make a play or two to help out a teammate, where Team USA is trying to develop the roles for these players on this team in a short amount of time before going over to the Olympics. So I'm not overly concerned about it. We know Cheryl Reeve's going to get the squad back in order and, obviously get things right as they head to Paris here in the next day or so. If they haven't already, I would imagine they're already.
They play in the next few days here. I think I forget. Weird. Sorry. Had some weird banging on the door. Weird. Oh, that was weird. All right. Anyway, but yeah, no, I tend to agree too. I think you kind of factor into they have the way of making the team, be cohesive, and I think they'll be able to do that. And I think Nafisa Collier's dealing with an injury right now too, so that factors in too. So they'll definitely need her. So let's move on to our other team, USA, Voldy.
Well, one of the final tune-ups before heading to the Olympics, Team USA on the men's side survived a scare against basketball stalwart, if you will, in Germany that survived a 1-point victory, I should say a 4-point victory, 92-88 over Team USA in what was at one point a very possible upset in many regards too, with one of the more competitive games in the last handful of exhibitions for Team USA that we've seen. A little bit of holes on the defensive side, even just overall team cohesion for the men's side as well. But at the end of the day, LeBron came through, pushed right through, and helped Team USA to that exhibition victory on the tails of a near upset loss to South Sudan of all teams in their second to most recent exhibition for Team USA. Ever-moving changes in the lineup and just trying to find those right pieces for some of these guys that are used to being the number ones, now trying to be the role players. Should we be concerned and worried about Team USA on the men's side? Could we see even more nail-biters as we head to the Olympics here in the next few days?
Well, I think this for this Team USA, this happens every year, I feel like. They just eke out a couple wins against teams that they should just be destroying. But again, I feel like a lot of these teams are going to give the USA their best shot. And this is exactly kind of the competitiveness that you want from each team. Now, you have LeBron, who's obviously not going to be messing around. He's going to be, he's the veteran voice in on this team, but let's not forget Ant-Man too. So just saying. But I think they want to show like, hey, we got to get this done. We got to beat this team, or we got to beat these teams, and we got to come together as one. And like you look at those scores and you're like, oh, they barely got it done and everything like that. And it's like, when it comes down to, okay, like these games, now mean something, they're going to turn it on and they're going to start to get everything together. And, LeBron's doing the right thing and bringing these guys together. And it's just being, this is great because they are going to start working as a team. Is there a little bit of concern? Sure. There always is. But I believe in, and people are saying, "Oh, they're comparing themselves to the Dream Team." Did they? Do we know? No. Do we know, Voldy, if they were or not? I'm not sure if they did. Somebody was saying, "Oh, if they're going to act like they're the Dream Team, then what the hell are you talking about?" I think we will see some nail biters. I believe it because these guys. France is going to give them, some a tough game. Germany especially, and I want to say Canada too. Canada's got Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and
we got all the guys,
and then Dylan Brooks acting like a clown and whatnot. But we'll kick his. USA will kick his ass, so that's totally fine. But so we got that going for us. So yeah, I there's going to be some nail biters, I think, but I believe in this team. I still think they're going to win the gold medal, and it's still, again, if they don't win, then we're, then it's a bust for sure, and people are going to be, ripping on them for a long time if they don't get the gold medal. So, yeah, the goal is gold medal, and that's what they're going to go and do. So I want to see Ant with the gold medal. I can't wait.
Oh, that'd be great.
It's so sick. So, Voldy, what do you think?
I think this will definitely be one of the more competitive Olympics that we will see in the last, probably in the last 4 or 5 Olympics for sure. The international game has stepped up so severely that Team USA is not the supreme power when it comes to international play. Germany is the defending World Cup champion of all things when they had guys like Franz Wagner and even Dennis Schroeder of all players as well, was the MVP of the World Cup this past year for Team Germany as well. We know that France is going to be competitive. We got Canada as well. You throw in Germany and some of these other teams that have really stepped up. I mean, the last 15, 20-ish years of international play, you've seen some of the international stalwarts that have kind of come through, like Argentina's, the Spain's as well. Those teams that have really given them a lot of run for their own money when it comes to medal time. But a lot for Team USA, and I've said it from the very jump, is looking at yourself and knowing that, yes, you are a number one in the NBA. But here, you don't have to be the number one. You need to be a piece in the cog of the machine, like Joel Embiid, obviously defending MVP, MVP caliber player as well in the past. Doesn't have to be MVP. You can be the guy in the middle, getting the boards, maybe getting some putbacks as well. That'll be great. Steph Curry, go out there, pick a corner, pick anywhere behind that 3-point line, knock down a few shots. That's great. Kevin Durant. If Kevin Durant's healthy, I mean, he is a lethal shooter and can certainly disrupt a few things on the other end of the floor. LeBron James, he's going to put the team on his back and on his shoulders and hopefully will them to a gold medal in many areas. And it's just finding that fifth guy. Who's it going to be? A rotation? Is it going to be guys like Anthony Edwards? Is it going to be Drew Holiday? Is it going to be Tyrese Halliburton? That fifth spot on the floor is kind of ever changing a little bit with the rotation that Team USA has and the weapons that they have. Is it going to be whoever's got the hot hand? Is it going to be who's ever performing better on both ends of the floor? That is yet to be seen. But I think when it comes down to it, I think the sheer competitiveness of this squad for Team USA is going to be a big factor versus, obviously, a lot of these international teams that have been playing 10, 12, 15 years together. I think just sheer athleticism and competitiveness will help in the back end for Team USA for sure. So I think we'll definitely see a lot of nail biters, but being in those big moments is something a lot of these players have been used to.
Well said. So we do actually have an update on the Mekhi Blackmon injury. J-Man says, and I have looked on the, this sucks. It's confirmed Mekhi Blackmon tears ACL at practice. So
Dang it.
Another cornerback down. That sucks. Oh boy. Yeah, not good. Not good, Jim. Yeah. So the Vikings might have to be back in the cornerback market as well. Because he played very well as this past year too. So, sorry to derail our Team USA stuff, but you make really good points with that and whatnot. And for anyone that was wondering, not sure who was I don't know if someone was knocking on my door or not. So apologies if that went through and whatnot, but we will get to the bottom of it after the show. So, all right, next one, Voldy.
Well, we head to the world of the NFL, and the league and the Players Association have had discussions at a, quote, very high level over potentially adding an 18th regular season game to the schedule, as conversations have been taking place, even though negotiations have not led to the formal stage as of yet. More and more conversation taking place about adding that 18th game of a regular season is becoming more and more likely. Of course, Roger Goodell, commissioner of the NFL, did say that he does favor an 18-game season, eliminating another preseason game, and maybe even extending it all the way to President's Day weekend to help add, of course, the Super Bowl into the holiday of President's Day that following Monday. A lot of people have that day off from work as well, since there's been clamoring, of course, with people saying, hey, well, we need to make Super Bowl, the day after the Super Bowl, a national holiday so people don't have to work. But a lot of things need to go into this. Of course, with an 18th regular season game, do you get an extra bye? Do you eliminate another preseason game? Do you combine the off season with mandatory mini camp and regular training camp, and to just smush those all together, with it starting a few weeks earlier than what the current off-season program is looking like? But with all conversations now at this point looking at a 18th regular season game, is it absurd or approved? Will there be an 18-game regular season within the next 3 seasons of football?
Yes, it's got my stamp of approval. And you mentioned the Super Bowl thing. You get 2 extra buys, which have been brought up numerous times. And I think this is something that I'm a fan of. Now, the whole playoff format, I'm still kind of on. But, I mean, it's starting to grow on me a little bit. But with the schedule, I feel like you get those 2 bye weeks. You get that extra bye week to kind of, recuperate, get guys healthy, things like that. And then you have the Super Bowl, and then the next day is President's Day, which a lot of people are off, that day and whatnot. So, hey, I'm a fan of it. I think you'd be a fan of it as well. So, I think it's a really good idea to, do something along those lines. And, it makes sense for the NFL to do it. People want it. They're really close to getting it done. Now the question is it going to be for it'd probably be for next year that they get this all figured out and whatnot. So I mean this one's definitely got my stamp of approval. Oh, the next 3 seasons, I'm sorry, yes, you did say that. Yes, I think so. I think in the next 3 seasons there will be that implemented. So hopefully sooner rather than later, I'd say. So, Voldy, what do you think?
I mean, there's definitely a lot more favoritism when it comes to, if you're going to add an 18th game, an extra bye week is something that the Players Association is definitely adamant about throwing in there as well. And the fact that even the Players Association president is even throwing out that they would be open to adding that 18th game before the current end of the collective bargaining agreement in 2030 definitely means that there is something in the works as of right now. It's all, just discussion and talks, but there's a lot more that needs to go into it. I think a lot more conversation about what's the offseason going to look like instead of, with, the Super Bowl ending and then, 6 weeks later it's the draft. And then a couple weeks after that, it's, rookie mini camps and everything. And then you've got 6 weeks after that where there's nothing. And then training camp. How does that all line up with the NFL schedule from beginning to end, basically? Not just training camp through the regular season and the Super Bowl. There's that quote unquote off season, if you will, of how do we build the team further beyond that. And an 18 game season will definitely you'll have to work out not just the regular season and the playoffs leading up to the Super Bowl. It's everything else that goes along with it. But I feel like there are enough conversations taking place between the Players Association and the league right now to say, we've got a basic framework. How does this work for the players? And how does this work for the owners and the league as well? So that way everybody's happy and everybody at the end of the day is going to be healthy and well paid. Could I see it in the next 3 seasons? I definitely, it's got my stamp of approval. I would say definitely by the 3rd season. So the 2027 season, I wouldn't be surprised if there's an 18 game schedule.
Yep. I agree as well. So hopefully get it done. All right. Next one, Volde.
Well, we head to the world of college football where Big Ten Media Week is taking place, of course, with the combination of new teams and stalwarts of the Big Ten taking place in Indianapolis, of course, the host site for the Big Ten championship game at Lucasoilstadium, where Big Ten Media Days has been taking place. And it was confirmed as well that the Big Ten championship games since its inception will be remaining in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Stadium, the house that Payton built, through 2028. Of course, with the last year, since 2024, the last year of the league's current contract with Lucas Oil Stadium was this, obviously, this upcoming Big Ten championship game. They have extended that through the 2028 season. That will now include, of course, with teams out on the West Coast, Oregon, USC, UCLA, and Washington now being brought into the Big Ten family. So spanning all the way East Coast to West Coast, the Big Ten right down the middle will be in Indianapolis and the Big Ten championship game. Of course, with that being one of the only really indoor stadiums, of course, with the Big Ten football conference that has hosted the Big Ten championship game since, well, its inception as well, there really isn't any need to move or rotate. Oh, wait, there's another indoor venue that'd be perfect, smack dab, right in the middle of Big Ten country, that being US Bank Stadium. Now, is it absurd or approved? Should the Big Ten title game be moved and or rotated when it comes to being the host for the Big Ten championship game, as opposed to Indianapolis?
So I probably already know your answer to this too, but I mean, why does it always have to be Indy? You know,
I don't know.
I mean, I think if you have a good central location, US Bank Stadium, great, fantastic. I mean,
Literally
again,
right in the middle.
Yeah,
It is.
and what's so wrong about that? You know, I mean, I think they could be able to get it done. It just depends on scheduling and things like that. But the NCAA can find ways to get it done. That's the main thing here, is that there's the possibility of doing it different and going somewhere. I mean, literally, people say, "Oh, Minnesota flyover country," whatever. Well, have you seen US Bank Stadium? You see how many people go in there and have big concerts. You had Taylor Swift like last year or something like that. You had Metallica. You've had all these. I think Morgan Wallen.
You've hosted a Super Bowl. You've hosted the Final Four. You were supposed to host the NCAA Wrestling National Championships, and a thing called COVID happened.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, so it should be moved, rotated a little bit, because Lucas Oil Stadium, okay, great stadium. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's very good,
sure.
But it's like, can we switch it up? I mean, there's plenty of other stadiums around too. So, it's got my stamp of approval. They should be moved and or rotated a little bit, just to kind of give some variety, I feel like. So. Yeah, it's got my stamp of approval. I think they should, move, rotate it. But the fact that it's Indianapolis.
Right.
It's kind of absurd in that sense. So, Voldy, what do you think?
It would just make more sense that the game be at US Bank Stadium. Geographically speaking, face value, you're going to make, let's just say Big Ten the Big Ten championship game, Oregon versus Ohio State. Ohio State is spitting distance from Lucas Oil Stadium. In fact, it would be more of a home game, if anything. You're going to make Oregon go that much farther to Indianapolis, Indiana, as opposed to, a little bit of a journey for Ohio State. Still a bit of a run there for Oregon, but still, Minnesota, right down the middle of Big Ten country, from shore to shore. From East Coast to West Coast, it would just make more sense and just give Minnesota more of an opportunity to showcase itself. No, we're not talking about the Golden Gophers. We're talking about what is all available with, US Bank Stadium. It's a great venue as well. Nothing against, Lucas Oil Stadium, never been there. But I think Lucas Oil Stadium's just been done enough to death at this point. Like,
yes.
Let's give US Bank Stadium a shot at something. Like, I mean, are the people that are running, US Bank Stadium, they just got no gumption, no attitude to say, hey, we want to host the Big Ten championship. Hey, we want to host, Team USA swimming trials. We want to do all the fun stuff too. But apparently not, because of the fact that Lucas Oil Stadium is just like, we're booking it year to year. We're selling this place out, for every single event possible. It's sad and it's kind of embarrassing. I mean, I'm not mad by the fact that the Big Ten championship game is at Lucas Oil Stadium. I would just think it would make more sense for the conference to make it more of a neutral site, with it being, obviously right down, easy, split down the middle when it comes to where teams are going to be traveling from. If the Big Ten championship ends up being, Wisconsin and Ohio State or something, I mean, that's going to be easy for both teams. You would just think that would be much more sense, geographically speaking, for Minnesota to be the host of the Big Ten championship. So it's got my stamp of approval. I think it definitely needs to be moved a lot more, but I guess we'll see after 2028 if it does get moved at all.
Yep, I'm with you. So, all right, well, let's wrap this up, Voldy.
Well, starting with, of course, the beginning of training camp for numerous NFL franchises, one of which, of course, the return of MVP and just missing out a chance to represent the Baltimore Ravens in the Super Bowl after falling to the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. Lamar Jackson, the reigning MVP player, well, only lasted 1 hour of the first day of training camp on Wednesday for his debut of training camp after the start of training camp for the Ravens this week. Left the field midway through Wednesday's workout, looking weary as he walked across the field into the team facility, saying that he was not feeling well. Now, notable things that have taken place in the offseason, of course, with him winning the MVP, but also quite slimming down in multiple, physically from last season into this season. Very interesting to see how his look has changed physically going into, of course, another MVP season for him. Seeing that time has been split with backup quarterback Josh Johnson, now on his 97th season in the league for his 57th franchise in the NFL. Josh Johnson still finds a way to keep himself in the league. But with Lamar Jackson and the changes with the offense, now adding on to pieces like Derrick Henry as well, and now second year under offensive coordinator Todd Monken. Should we be concerned that should the Ravens be weary of Lamar after his early exit of training camp here today?
Well, he's definitely feeling ill, that's for sure. And he apparently threw a pick and whatnot, splitting time, like you were saying. I wouldn't say I'm overly concerned if I were the Baltimore Ravens. Now, the one thing I do want to quick talk about with that is if they want to be taken seriously, they have to beat the Kansas City. So they got to beat, the Buffaloes, the top teams in the AFC, because they are a top team in the AFC. But they shot themselves in the foot against Kansas City, and with Lamar being sick and not feeling well and everything, I think it's just best that they give him the rest, and then when he's up to it, and they've done the whole off season, they did training, or they did mini camp, and they. He's very much involved in the offense. He's, learning with it. And you have Derrick Henry back there now, which is kind of weird to say. I don't know. I'm not used to the Derrick Henry thing, if I'm being honest, him being a Raven now.
Right.
I'd probably say in this instance, if I were a Ravens fan, which I'm not, but I think they should be kind of weary, just making sure he's okay. But I think it's absurd. I think he'll be all right, and he'll still be the same, Lamar Jackson as we're used to seeing now. I feel like there's a lot of pressure on this team this season, so we'll see. I mean, Baltimore's had their chances to get ahead of Kansas City, and they had their opportunity and they blew it. So big season for the Ravens. So Voldy, what do you think?
I think a lot of it comes down to, my initial thoughts is, with him slimming down was a bit of a concern for me, because you would think in an offseason where especially he takes a lot of hits and maybe injuries are starting to pile up, that he would want to bulk up a little bit. But if you do bulk up, you do lose a lot of that, speed and agility that goes along with this play style. But when I first saw him, he kind of looked a little sickly in my mind. And now the fact that he only lasted 1 hour in his debut at training camp, something else got to be going on there. I don't know if maybe the stress of the situation, or maybe finally the fact that he got his extension this past season and then going out and leading his team to the AFC Championship game with another MVP, if all that is really starting to come to a head for him physically. You would just like to think it's maybe some sort of stomach bug he's going through right now. True. And hopefully just, a week's time that he'll be just fine. Maybe the next couple of days, it gets through the rest of the week, he'll be okay. Because obviously he is a huge part of the offense, not even just being the quarterback, but as a runner. And, obviously the way the offense moves along with him, certainly something to keep an eye on. I don't think it's anything to be weary of, as long as it's something that doesn't continue on as they go into training camp. I don't think we should be overly concerned. So, I think it's absurd.
Fair enough. There you have it for ARA this week. Great job, as always, Voldy. We got an awesome Shield shout-out tonight. Guys, we got a little bit of a surprise. If you saw it on the socials medias, it is freaking awesome. So I say, Voldy, we get it going with some Shield shout-outs.
Shield shout-outs.
All right, it is time for some Shield shout-outs. So, Shield, who you shouting out tonight?
Well, of course, last week we did celebrate 200 episodes for MinneZona Sports Live in recognition of that 200 episode mark. A special gift, if you will, from our friends at Arkin Forge Productions and Jack O'Keefe. Of course, a friend of the program. We've been on his podcast in the past. And also, of course, a gift that was the idea of creative consultant Mrs. Sarah Ann Tuesvold. Nice wood carving. MinneZona Sports Live wood carving. Handmade wood carving. And it was a challenge for Jack to put it together. Cash, homie. Handwritten note from him as well. He had a wonderful time putting this all together. And I will certainly cherish this. This is awesome. The only downside is I got to hide this from my 3-year-old because this is kind of breakable, and I don't want this to be broken as well. So far, it's been living in the bathroom closet high above from where
nice
can reach from it. So big shout out to, of course, Sarah and obviously Jack O'Keefe as well for the wonderful, wonderful gift here. And big thank you again to everybody who tuned in last week for 200 episodes here through 201. That's going to do it for Shield shout outs here this week.
God, that is so badass. I
So
mean, it's
awesome.
just, like, the font and everything is spot on that we use here on MinneZona Sports Live. So thank you, Jack, and obviously creative consultant Miss Sarah.
Throw him a follow as well. Arkin Forge Productions. You can definitely check it out there. He does a lot of custom work as well. You can see some of his videos that he has posted with his work on the woodworking side of things. He has his own little shop set up too online, and you will definitely be getting some future business for sure hopefully from us and some of our followers too.
Damn right. And we'll be that MinneZona Sports Live handmade wooden sign is something that is very special, and we appreciate Jack for doing that, and obviously our creative consultant. So great job. Shield shout outs this week, Voldy, as always.
Thank you, sir.
And with that being said, Voldy, we've got some things in the works here. The zoners should know that for Pick'em this year, since things are heading in that direction of football here coming up very soon, we will be switching over to ESPN for Pick'em this year. So
that's right.
We're going over to ESPN. It's a little bit easier because then you can have, I had a lot of people use ESPN for fantasy football, things like that. So we're going to do that for Pick'em. So then you don't have to worry about, using a different account or anything like that.
Yeah.
You're all set up. You make your picks. You're good to go. So we got that coming your way. And also be on the lookout for some fantasy football thing. We're working on something with the victorious P.O.D, our guys.
That's right.
So Jack and Tyler, we're working on something cooking up, and it will involve you, the zoners. So check it out. It's going to be dope. So we got the merch. You know the deal. We got sweatpants. We got shirts, stickers, hats, the whole kit and caboodle for prices and stuff like that. We got the tumblers, winter hats, the quarter zips as well. So let us know if you're interested, and we'll get that going for you. So make sure you check out the social medias for that, and make sure you check out W2 Performance, www.w2performance.com with Will Rattel, and he's doing some great stuff there. National Fleet Graphic, Crown Rental, Tyler Knutson, thank you for the stickers. And we just talked about the victorious P.O.D, Tyler Hermann, Jack Vickers, fantasy football starting up. Make sure you check it out. And then the TLS performance with our guy, Troy Stoudemire Jr. Make sure you check out his stuff as well. And then the Popcorn Bucket List with Nick Dahlhoff and our guy, Ryne Myberg, the Rhino, baby. So make sure you check those guys out. Omni Entertainment, the whole deal with that. And, they actually have a new episode out with our good friend, Alex Peterson. Yes. Alex Peterson, usually behind the camera, kind of stays off. He is now on camera, so it is pretty cool. I love it. So, shouts out to him for being on Popcorn Bucket List. So, that'll do it for MinneZona Sports Live this week. A great start to 201. We're in the 200s. Sir. We're gonna roll with the 200s here with season 5. The rest of the way, and we're going to have more fun, and we'll have some more things. So make sure you check out the social medias. Lots of things happening, especially breaking news with the Vikings, and there's going to be more. There's going to be even more coming up here this upcoming week into next week, and so on and so forth. So we can't wait to talk about that. So, all right, with that being said, as always, folks, keep in the zone.
Holla!
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.